I'd like to call this meeting to order. If you make the roll call, please.
Dave Waddington.
Here.
Dan Delahunt. John Fike.
Here.
Walt Matthews.
Here.
William Siemens.
Here.
Greg Peugeot.
Here. We have a quorum. Hopefully you've all had an opportunity to read the minutes from the May 18th meeting. Are there any corrections or anything?
No.
If not, a motion is in order.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, this is an adjudication hearing, so if you're going to give testimony, you need to be sworn in. So that's step one. So if everybody is going to give testimony, raise your right hand. You promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but truth, so help you God. If so, say I do.
I do.
You are sworn in. Secondly, is if you are going to give testimony, I will give you who it is and what the case is. You'll need to come up to the podium, give your name, your address, and then your discussion, and keep the discussion on point of the issue that we're talking about. The first item on the agenda is at 1030 Hayes Avenue. It's a use variance to the zoning code section 1129.03 to allow a physical therapy office as a main use at 1030 Hayes Avenue. This is not a permitted main use at this location. You have the report from...
Yes, thank you,
Is
Mr.
there
Chairman.
anything additional you wish to give us?
There is, thank you.
Thank you.
This property is zoned RRB residential business. To the north is zoned RRB residential business. To the east is R2F two-family residential. To the south is RRB residential business. And to the west is PF public facilities. The existing use of this site is business. The proposed use is stay in business. The applicant is seeking a use variance to allow physical therapy office at this location. The zoning code explicitly outlines the uses that would be allowed in an RRB zoning district, and a physical therapy office is not specifically permitted. Typically, these uses are catered to the residential neighborhood, such as barbershops, drugstores, dry cleaners, florists, etc. There's approximately 4,000 square feet of off-street parking space at this site. There's one main building on the site and a detached accessory building. The main building is approximately 2,000 square feet. The accessory building is approximately 1,200 square feet. The office will be only in the 2,000 square feet main section of the structures here. 10 off-street parking spaces will be required, and the applicant has submitted a parking plan which outlines 10 spaces. The property received a variance in 2019 to allow a sign fabrication facility to operate at this location under the same format as tonight. Staff has determined that a physical therapy practice is a low-intensity use and is a well-suited use for this site and the surrounding neighborhood. The hospital is across the street, and a small low-intensity business uses are scattered throughout Hayes Avenue. Staff has determined this is an appropriate use for the site, and planning staff supports the requested variance at 1030 Hayes Ave and suggests the following conditions upon approval, and that's that all applicable permits are obtained through the building department, engineering department, division of planning, and any other applicable agency. Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak in favor of this request? Again, you'll need to come to the podium, give your name and your address.
Good afternoon. My name is Matt Clare with Hody Enterprises here in Sandusky, Ohio. We represent the seller and owner of the property, Mr. Jeff Crable. Jeff is right here. Also, I'd like to introduce on the buyer's side of the transaction, Mr. John Healy with SVN in Toledo, and also my co-listing agent, Joe Haberger, here from Sandusky as well. So we are part of the brokerage group. We have a pending contract on the property scheduled to close sometime in the first couple weeks of July, pending approval here through this body. And wanted to field any questions that you might have. We would direct any tenant or buyer questions to Mr. Healy, and owner and seller questions to Mr. Crable.
Well, we reserve this for you to give us your testimony as to what you want to let us know besides what we've written, what is rested in here.
I think after hearing staff comments, we're on board with everything as far as staff comments. We thought it was a great use for the property to begin with, but needed to go through the necessary steps in order to get compliance. So we're on board with the city on this one, and would like to move forward with the project.
Okay, anyone else who wishes to speak in favor of this request?
Good afternoon. For the record, John Healy, SVN Commercial Real Estate, 3231 Executive Parkway, Suite 401, Toledo, 43606. I am here representing both the buyer, GHH Properties LLC, and the tenant, PT Links. It's a multi-location therapy company with about 20 locations around northwest Ohio. I'd like to just say a couple things. We submitted the parking plan that staff referred to before. We could have probably squeezed in a couple more spaces there. Went with the 10 that's required. But this particular facility, along with a lot of the other ones, for example, Fremont, is by appointment only. It'd be staffed by one physical therapist, and the chances of having more than 2 or 3 cars in the parking lot at any time means somebody from next door is parking there. We just don't have that kind of traffic. If you have any other questions, I'm here. I hope I could entertain them, but we agree with the staff's review and comments.
We'll probably reserve your questions until everyone has spoken.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor of this request?
Jeff Crable, 300 East Water Street, Sandusky. As the seller of this property, we've had extensive experience with it. It served certainly our needs when we had the sign shop there very, very well. I frankly am really pretty thrilled about the potential for this particular use of the property. I think it's entirely consistent with the neighborhood, certainly with the people across the street, which is the hospital. The property, we've made some improvements along the way over the last several years, things that I think that the buyer will benefit from. But we're very excited that this particular buyer has stepped forward. So with that, I will also be available for questions.
Is there anyone else in the audience who speak in favor of this request? Is there anyone who wishes to speak against this request? Seeing none, back to the board. Any questions? If there's none, there's a motion in order.
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to approve this request.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions on the motion? Call the roll.
Mr. Fike,
I abstain.
Mr. Matthews,
Yes.
Mr. Siemens,
Yes.
Mr. Peugeot,
Yes.
The variance is approved.
That's the only thing, you have to make sure to get those permits up.
The second item on the agenda is area variance to zoning code section 1137.08A to allow minimum front yard setback up to 2 feet. The zoning code requires a 30-foot setback to the front yard setback in a commercial zoning district. This is for the address of 1019 Sloan Street. We have the staff's report. Is there anything additional?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The site in question is zone CS Commercial Service. To the north is zone CS Commercial Service. To the east is R140 Single Family Residential. To the south is CS Commercial Service and also General Manufacturing. And to the west is General Manufacturing. The existing use of this site is residential and the proposed use is staying residential. The applicant is proposing to construct a new single-family home in the same footprint of the existing home on the site. The front yard setback of the existing house is a legal non-conforming setback because it's constructed presumably before the zoning code was put into effect. The zoning code requires a minimum of 30-foot setback from the front property line in a commercial service district. The house at 1019 Sloan Street is set back approximately 2.2 feet. The home will remain the same footprint as the existing house, but there will be an addition to the back part of the house. While the existing and proposed replacement house is set back only 2.2 feet from the front parcel line, the public right-of-way is about 35 feet. Excuse me, let me say that again. It is 35 feet from the existing roadway, so from the right-of-way. The applicant is proposing to match the existing front yard setback of the existing front yard and is requesting a variance up to 2 feet for the front yard setback, which would be an 28-foot variance. Excuse me. The parcel at 1019 Sloan Street is unique in the fact that about 1/3 of the parcel is part of Mills Creek and therefore is not land. The lot is also in a decline slope towards Mills Creek, creating a further challenge to build. A significant percentage of the parcel is submerged in the regulatory floodway, and the building footprint of the current house is just outside of that floodway. It is unclear if the proposed new home is expected to encroach into the floodplain, and staff suggests that the applicant have a full understanding of the implications, of the building within the floodplain if the structure is to encroach and all the rules before any building is to happen. The western part of Sloan Street is a historically commercial node, now with residential uses in recent decades. Sloan Street is not a through street and does not continue much further past the applicant's property. If you look on the aerial there, the road itself stops. There is public right-of-way, but the road has not extended. The average width of a residential side street public right-of-way is approximately 50 feet in the city of Sandusky. However, the current public right-of-way of this site is about 65 feet. Like I said, it used to be a commercial node, so it's a commercial right-of-way width. This extra 15 feet of right-of-way further restrains the applicant's buildable area on this site. A single-family home as proposed is a permitted use in a commercial service district, and based on all of these points, planning staff supports the requested variance at 1019 Sloan Street and suggests the following conditions upon approval, and that's that all applicable permits are obtained to the building department, engineering department, division of planning, and any other applicable agency prior to construction. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience who speak in favor of this request?
I'm Kimberly Go. I'm the owner at 1019 Sloan Street. And thank you.
No problem.
So we've included the site plan here that shows the existing footprint where we will simply add a few sections of, what is it called? Slabs. Sorry, drew a blank. We'll add a few slabs that will fall within the safe zone of that floodplain. We've revamped our plans for the house in order to accommodate that, and we'll simply cantilever 4 feet of the bedroom, of the proposed master bedroom that we'll be adding on there. We see this as a tremendous addition and a significant improvement to the area, and certainly hope that it supports a continued growth on the west end of Sandusky. And you could see from the initial photo that we submitted, the existing home, we had originally, we liked the property and the view, and we had originally considered simply remodeling or making it an addition to the home, but quite frankly, it was in deplorable condition when we assumed ownership of it.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else who would speak in favor of this? Is there anyone who would speak against this request? Not, back to the board. Any questions?
It's being built on the existing foundation, correct? The existing slab. And as I see it, it's in line with the neighboring buildings. So I would make a motion to approve this variance as presented, and make sure all permits are obtained.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any questions on the motion? I just have one question.
I'm
Not
sorry.
much on the motion.
I'm sorry.
Who's the city flood administrator?
That'd be Josh Schneider. He's an engineer for the city.
So this does go to him?
This would, and the nuances I'm not completely familiar with, but I believe if anything's even over top of the floodplain, it would have to get a permit. And as the applicant stated, they're going to cantilever it, so that may be a different scenario for them. I don't know. That's not my forte, but yeah, there will be a floodplain review and hopefully a permitting process, excuse me.
I only caution you is that one of the things that zoning administrator is going to want to know is the grades. I see that some grades are put on there, but he's going to need to know the grade of the underside of the structure of the house.
Okay,
Where it's not in the floodplain isn't an issue,
right.
but it's where it's outside you're going on top of.
Right.
The issue there is the structure above the floodplain elevation. Now, if the front already is above the floodplain, you're good.
And with the floodplain map that we saw, it was truly, if I could touch it, like a teeny corner that would have been on our original plan, so we've completely eliminated that.
Okay, I just wanted to caution
No, I
you is that
appreciate it.
he may say, hey, I need you to tell us what the elevations are. The only way you can do that is if you have a surveyor come and shoot grades for you.
Okay,
So,
perfect.
other than that, not a question, but I guess more of a comment on my part.
Thank you. And we'll be in Alan's office for the permits tomorrow morning.
Sounds good. I'll see you then.
So, if there's no other questions or comments, call the roll, please.
Mr. Fike?
Yes.
Mr. Matthews?
Yes.
Mr. Siemens?
Yes.
Mr. Peugeot?
Yes.
That variance is approved. You're welcome to stay, but yes, not a problem. The next item is an area variance to the zoning code section 1129.14 to allow the creation of two parcels which do not meet the minimum area and yard requirements. The minimum width of a parcel in an R150 single-family zoning district is 50 feet. The applicant proposes to create two parcels which are both 45 feet wide, and this is for the address 1214 and 1218 Farwell Street. We have the staff's comments. Is there anything additional you wish to add?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The site in question is zoned R150 Single Family Residential. The adjacent zoning to the north is R150 Single Family Residential. To the east is CS Commercial Service. To the west is R150 Single Family Residential, and to the south is R150 Single Family Residential. The existing use of this site for both structures on the site currently and for potentially both created parcels are both residential uses. The applicant is proposing to split two lots along the historical platted parcel lines, creating two parcels which do not meet the current minimum width standards for a buildable lot in an R150 single-family zoning district. The minimum lot requirements, as Chairman Fike had stated, are 50-foot in width for an R150 single-family residential. The historical plat was 45 on width for both of these parcels. So the applicant's seeking a variance of 5 feet for each of these parcels. The variance requests are not substantial and restore the parcels back to its historical footprint and back to a legal conforming use. The current use with two residential structures on one parcel does not line up with our zoning code. So as of right now, this is a non-conforming use. So you have two structures on a single-family lot. So it's currently a two-family use on a single family. So because of that, staff supports this variance to get this into compliance with the use standards and with the following conditions, and that's with all applicable permits must be obtained to the building department, engineering department, and division of planning prior to any type of lot splits. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak in favor of this request?
Hello, Board. My name is Charles Seaver, and I own this plot of land. Sorry I couldn't get these to you sooner so that you guys could look at them, but if you look at the map, this is actually the plot, or the plat, sorry. Everything in pink are the same type of plots mine are, except they all have a house that's built across. My houses are built diagonal, or not diagonal, perpendicular. if you, I'm sorry, it's been a long day.
Sure.
Just so you know, we don't bite.
Oh, I'm not worried, I bite back. Anything in yellow are double plots with a single house that cannot be split. In purple are single plots over 50 feet. If you notice, there's absolutely no purple on this map. There's no plot on this plat that is over 50 feet at all, except for one, and it's circled in green, and it's 66 feet, but it's also a vacant plot, so I'm not sure what that is. Anything in green, well, I already said that one. The blue ones, 400 and 402, are mine. They are the other orange. Both houses have their own electric, water, sewer, gas. There would be nothing I would need from the engineering department to split these lots. All I need is your approval. They both have their own driveway. They're very easily splittable. I've already had, I can't think of what they're called right now. They come out, and the surveyor. I've had a surveyor come out, and he told me there would be no problem doing this. But in order to do that, I have to get your approval. In order to get your approval, I have to do that. So I'm kind of at a catch-22 at this moment. So I don't have anything else. Do you guys have any questions?
Not this time.
Okay.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor of this request? Is there anyone who wishes to speak against this request? Okay, if that will return to the board, I do have a question. These are both single-family houses?
They are.
Okay, and will the driveway,
They both have their own driveway.
will the driveways be on the parcels once they're
Yes.
split?
Yes.
Great.
It would be split if you look at 400. Their driveway is on the left. If you look at 402, or no, I'm sorry, their driveway is on the right. I'm looking at this upside down. 402's driveway is also on the right. So it would literally be split 5 feet from the house, straight down to the street.
What about the driveway? Is this gravel or what is this?
They're gravel, so they're easily movable.
So are you gonna put cement or pave down?
Not unless I have to.
My only question, I don't know if he would know, but for you as the staff, is that if he splits it like it is and where the houses are, does it meet setback requirements, side yards?
Yes, and that's my apologies. I put it in the report, and I must have accidentally skipped over it. The only criteria that this currently would not meet is the variance in front of you, which would be the width. But all setbacks, so front, side, back, would be met, and all other parcel requirements are met.
Terrific.
Yeah.
And if we approve it, he'll be required to get a survey for the parcel split.
That's correct.
Okay.
I wouldn't need any other, I wouldn't need any other one to come out, right? You had said something about the engineer office and stuff.
So whoever you have hired to do the survey, once that's finalized, what you need to do is the process is you always start with the county engineer. I'm the second step, and then the third step is the records and auditor with the county. But having the plat and also the deed is your first step if the variance tonight is approved.
Your surveyor should know how to do this.
That was just for my records.
Okay, any other questions from the board?
Nope.
Seeing none, a motion is in order.
I motion that we pass this variance.
Second. We have a motion, a second. Any questions on the motion? Seeing none, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Fike?
Yes.
Mr. Matthews?
Yes.
Mr. Siemens?
Yes.
Mr. Peugeot?
Yes. Variance is approved.
Thank you. You guys have a great night.
You too.
Next item on the agenda is an area variance to zoning code section 1145.1 and 1145.15 A and B to allow an extension to an existing legally non-conforming garage within the side yard and required side yard setback for a corner lot. Accessory structures are not permitted in a side yard or within the required side yard setback on a corner lot, and this is for 533 Shelby Street. Do you have the staff's comments or reports or anything additional?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The site is zoned R2F 2-family residential. To the north, east, south, and west are all also R2F 2-family residential. The existing use of this site is residential, and the proposed use is staying residential. The setbacks and placement of the existing garage are legally non-conforming as it was built before our zoning code requirements. The zoning code requires a minimum of 12.5 foot of a side yard setback in this zoning district on a corner lot. An accessory structure must not be in the side yard and must be 12.5 feet from the front property line, plus an additional 5 feet, totaling 17.5 feet in the side yard of a corner lot. The existing garage is set back approximately 4 feet. The proposed garage is to match this 4-foot setback and extend parallel to the street by approximately 11 feet in width. The applicant has requested 2 variances, and that's to allow an accessory structure to expand further into a side yard, and for 2, a 13.5-foot relief to the 17.5-foot side yard setback requirement, which would equal a 4-foot setback.
Thank you. Is there
Hold on
anyone
one
in-
second.
Pardon?
One more
I missed
thing.
something, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're fine, no worries. The applicant has installed a new parking pad next to the garage, which will be westward, to create an additional off-street parking space on the property. The applicant has mentioned to me that on-street parking on this neighborhood has been tough, that there's a lot of demand for on-street or off-street parking, and the on-street parking is hard to come by, no matter what hour of the day it is. The applicant has also stated that numerous repairs have been made to mitigate leaking in the existing garage with no avail. And this project will install a new gable-style roof over the existing garage and also expand over the parking pad. And the parking pad area will be almost enclosed, but won't have a door on it. So it'll be 3 ways of it will be enclosed. So that's to create shelter for their parking to get it off the street. And planning staff does not oppose the requested variance at 533 Shelby Street and suggests the following conditions upon approval, and that's that all applicable permits are obtained through the building department, engineering department, and division of planning prior to any construction. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of this request?
Hello, everyone. My name is Robert Kurtz. I got a bad case of laryngitis. I think it come with stress or something, I don't know. But anyways, I've lived in this house for half my life. I'm 60, I'll be 68. I've lived here for 33 years. And I've come to a point in my life that I wanted to get my car off the street and cover it so I'm not out there in the winter scraping windows and whatever. This project, it started last March with a contractor that assured me the permits were all put and everything was good and he put a pad in. It took him like 6 months to come in and put the pad in and the approach. And he says, well, I'll be back in the spring. So when the spring came and it went, I asked him what was going on, and he decided he'd be a few more months down the road. And I was thinking, before I die of old age, I figure I want to get this done, And it's one of the last projects that I got to do in this house to retire. I'm one of those people that works and pays and works and pays. I don't take out loans, don't do all that. But anyways, the fence gate is coming from Fremont Fence. That's being held up because of this project. Then the new contractor said that don't put the new garage door in until I wrap everything. And he showed me what he was going to do. I got blueprints. I also got some pictures, if you want to pass them around there, of the way it looks. And before this all went down, I bought one of these vehicle tents that you get at Menards. You can put it in your yard. And as I stated that my neighbors were all in favor of me doing this was for the fact that that tent just was out of place. just totally out of place. And so if you guys can grant me this permission to do this, I'd be very appreciative. I've always, supported the city on anything and everything that benefits the citizens of this town. And we don't plan on going anywhere. We love what we do. And I have my neighbor here, my other neighbor, all here, next door, east side. And, they just want to be here to support me. And I appreciate that very much. And as you stated, the grass roof is leaking, and we got to get that fixed one way or another. And this was something that then the contractor suggested. I really originally wanted to do a two-car garage, but as you see, I'm kind of limited. So that's all I really got to say about that. If you got any questions, let me know.
Thank you.
Okay?
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor of this?
Yes. Friend of the board, my name is Mark Smith. I live at 1213 West Madison Street. I'm Bob's neighbor on the Madison Street side of his property. Known Bob since we moved in 2019, and he's been probably one of the best neighbors that you could hope to have. He's always helpful. He's always outside improving his property. He takes very good care of his property. He did speak and touch on, he didn't elaborate on it, but the off-street parking issues that we have in our neighborhood. Across the street, there is I believe it's a duplex. There have been some issues with that as to whether that owner's allowing 3 family units in there. For a while, seemed like a different set of cars every other week. But they also have children. Around the corner from us are another 2 rentals, which also have teenage children. And so we constantly have a lot of cars on the street, in front of my house, in front of Bob's house, and so on. So off-street parking, it certainly would be a benefit to him. Also to his property, I believe it would increase the property value and therefore the neighborhood value as a whole. I know he's worked hard on this project, and being his neighbor, I certainly don't take any issue with it at all. I think it would certainly improve everything, and I would ask the city to approve the variance.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Anyone else who wishes to speak in favor of this request?
Belinda Hunter. I've been Bob's neighbor for half my life. And I own the property across the street from Bob and also the property that is also adjacent to the corner on the other side. So I'm on the Shelby Street side. So between Mark and I, we have him boxed in.
What's your address?
So my address is 528 Shelby Street.
Okay.
I live across the street. I also own the property at 527 Shelby Street, which was my grandma's house,
Okay.
and my mom now lives there. My mom grew up in that house. She's lived there all except when she was raising us. Then she lived on Madison Street. So we've all lived in the neighborhood our whole life. Bob is an amazing neighbor. You're never going to find anybody in Sandusky who takes better care of their house, their cars, their property. He's constantly washing windows. He's constantly pulling weeds. His yard is immaculate. If you drive by, you won't find a person that takes better care of his property. He puts me to shame a lot of times. I gotta hurry up and go home and cut the grass, but I support it 100%. And that property that my mom lives in is gonna stay in our family forever. It was my grandma's house, so we don't have an issue with it. We support it.
Thank you. You're the only one left.
I don't own the property, I just live in the property.
Okay. My only question is, it's not being negative about it, is we're approving the variance. He's building basically not really a garage, but covering his parking place. But that doesn't preclude him from sometime in the future enclosing it, making a garage, does it?
Correct. So the variance you'd be approving today is just for setback purposes. So adding a garage door would be part of that variance because they wouldn't be further expanding into the side yard. So this would cover that if they did put a garage door on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all. Any questions from the board? If not, a motion is in order.
I would make a motion to approve this variance as presented and make sure that all pertinent permits are obtained.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Fike?
Yes.
Mr. Matthews?
Abstain.
Mr. Siemens?
Yes.
Mr. Peugeot?
Yes.
The variance is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there anything additional business that we have before the board?
No additional business. We will have a meeting next month. We have several applications, so
Say we would not have a meeting.
we will.
And that meeting
I might be on
date is-
vacation.
That's the 20th.
Third,
Okay.
yep, the 20th,
That's a Thursday.
Thursday.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's-
All of them on Thursdays, I think.
So we have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye, aye, aye.
Adjourn.
Oh, yeah, I got it.
I thought Mark
The
Smith
new
was here to
face at
object.
the.
He was kind of making faces.